But I want you to think about the things that you say. Because a lot of times we say things, and we've talked about this at various times, but we say things that we wish sometimes we could take back. We say things we wish we hadn't said. Get our shoe in our mouth, foot in our mouth, right? We've all done that at some time. And what I want you guys to get out of this for this week and next week is that hopefully down the road, because you're all in school, you're just out of school, you're out here, you got your whole life ahead of you, that down the road you will see that little things you started doing now make a big difference someday in your life, make a big difference in how things turn out for you. Because I've told you before, we got enough experience in here among all the leaders. We've made enough mistakes and learned enough from our problems that we can give you a lot of advice on how not to do things. We can do that. Most of you will be moving up to another grade next year. I think most of you will. Maybe, I don't know, me, did you get to graduate? You move up next grade next year? Okay. Going to 11th. Woo. Juniors. Most of you are moving up. Some of you may move. Who's going to be senior next year? Am I going to be a senior next year? I'm already a senior, Wes. I'm with you. I got a senior citizen discount deal. They didn't even ask for it. I didn't think that was funny. At any rate, thank you. But what I want us to look at tonight is, gang, little things can make a big difference in our lives and the lives of those around us. Just little things we do, little things we say, specifically tonight talking about words. And the small things, the kind of the central truth to this message is, if this would be one if you were taking notes to write down, it's the small things no one sees that results in the big things in life that everybody wants. And I mean, how many of you have heard stories about people like Michael Jordan, who, when he was with the Bulls, when the team would go into practice, and they may practice for hours, the team would shut down at, say 5 o'clock. They shut down for the day, and Jordan would stay there another 2 or 3 hours still practicing, because it's what he did. And it made him the greatest of all time. No matter who you think about basketball, it really made him the greatest of all time. He's the best there ever was. Used to watch him play, and and that's true with everybody. With anybody doing in sports and things, there's always those guys who go the extra mile, do the extra thing. But what I want to talk to us about tonight is not so much about what we do as what we say, our words. And next week we'll talk about habits, because again, our words, they influence our habits. Sometimes there's too many words too. But our words do. And our habits, see, we will talk about them as our habits, they influence our destiny. Our habits decide how things turn out for us, really. We talked about this in messages recently, how you go to school people, and then one day you go back to a reunion and you see this person you thought was going to be really good and do everything, and they've bombed in everything, and they're leading a miserable life. And those who didn't think were going to do much have already retired and all kinds of money and had a great career and a family and all. I mean, it's all the little things people do we never see, is what it really is. Our words are powerful. They can have all kinds of effects on our life, and we don't even realize it. I mean, the Bible says in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Our words are important. God created the world with a spoken word. He didn't go out and work with his hands and a shovel. He said, boom. He said, let there be light, and there was. He made life. He spoke it into existence. He spoke everything. It was all by words. He created the world, and one day Jesus will come back, and it says in Revelation that when the battle of Armageddon is fought, his tongue will come out like a two-edged sword, and through the word he will destroy the armies of Satan and the armies of the world that come against him in Israel. And that's coming in the, I think, not too distant future. Our words are powerful. Solomon said this in Proverbs 18:21, Isaac, my first verse there. The power of the tongue has the power of life and death. It goes on scripture, but I mean, that says a lot. That's Solomon, smartest man around, they say. The tongue has the power of life and death. Our words decide how good or bad our day is. How many of you are morning people? You get up in the morning ready to go. You're excited and happy. Couple of us. Few of us. I'm guessing all you guys that like that are going to be on our Six Flags trip, right? Because we're good. We like to get up early and go. I'm fired up. In the mornings, I'm good to go. And Brenda will tell you at night, I'm worthless. At 10 o'clock at night, you ask me, Danny, what's 5 plus 5? I don't know. I'm going to bed. I mean, late at night, I'm done. I don't even like to talk late at night. Brenda, she won't talk in the mornings. She hates mornings. She hates me talking in the morning. Is really what she's really trying to say there, just so y'all know that. I mean, our words decide if we're going to have a pleasant conversation or if we're going to have heated confrontation. Just by the words we say. Words are important. And we tend to these days spout off words all the time. I mean, it's like Mike Tyson said recently about when he beat that guy up on the airplane. Did y'all see that? Where Tyson punched the guy on the airplane because the guy kept harassing him. Well, I don't know how he ever harassed Mike Tyson, but the guy did. And Tyson ran over the seat and beat the tar out of the guy right there on the airplane. Left the guy bloodied and beat because the guy wouldn't leave him alone. And Tyson said, a lot of people through this COVID and everything and through social media, they forgot what it's like to say something and get punched in the face. And he did not get charged. The police were like, nah, he didn't do anything wrong. It's all cool. So our words can get us in problems. Our words can make things good. James spoke about words. James is brother of Jesus. And you know, I never thought about this, but when I was studying this, I ran across this quote that said, James is the best example ever of proof of the Trinity. And you say, well, why? Well, James was the brother of Jesus, right? Think how much influence you had to have, how powerful Jesus had to be. I mean, how hard would it be for you to make your brother, if you got a brother, think that you're Jesus, that you're God? But James said he was. James knew it. So James, I mean, for your brother to believe it, it's pretty much true, right? James said this, though, in James 3:3-5. We can make a large horse go wherever we want by means of a small bit in its mouth. You ever rode a horse? No? You've seen people ride a horse? They put what's called a bridle on the horse's head, right? There's a little metal bit, not much bigger than my finger, goes through the horse's mouth. The reins hook to it. You want to steer that horse to go left or right, you pull the reins, that small bit will turn that 2,000-pound animal and make him go the way you pull it, just turn it because that bit's in his mouth. That's what he's saying here. That one little thing can steer a horse. Go on, next one. Over there. Back up to 4, I'm sorry. Oh, did I not put 4 in there? Go ahead to the next one, I'm sorry. There we go. And a small rudder makes a huge ship turn wherever the pilot chooses to go, even though the winds are strong. Y'all know what a rudder is on a boat, right? That's the steering mechanism underneath the boat. It's what turns the boat. Rudders, compared to a ship, rudders are pretty small compared to the size of a ship. And yet that rudder turns, I mean, you've been in a canoe, your paddle, you take your paddle, no bigger than a paddle is compared to Mark, how long is a canoe? 16 foot, 15, 16 foot? 12 foot? I don't even know. I thought you might know being an outdoors man. But, Chris, you kayak, man. How long's a kayak? 16, okay. But yet you can take a little paddle that's what? What's a paddle, 8 or 10 inches? Paddle, what, 8 or 10 inches roughly? Something like that, a paddle? Yeah, the blade? 12 inches? And you can take that and steer a 16-foot canoe with that little paddle. That's what he's saying here. Just a little bit of something will steer it. Next. In the same way, the tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a forest on fire. I mean, if you look in proportion to our bodies, how small our tongue is, that's what they're kind of comparing here. That's what it's kind of talking about. I mean, look how small our tongue is, and look how much trouble our tongue can get us into. Or how much good a tongue can do if it's used the right way, if it's speaking the right things, saying the right things. Right? Well-spoken speech can motivate a crowd. We've all seen good speakers, right? Or a carefully crafted speech can fire people up and get people wound up, right? If you see someone miserable in their job, they probably have a boss that uses their tongue, their mouth, to speak negatively a lot, right? Matter of fact, this guy I spoke about earlier that I asked for prayer for, he is my boss. And I was talking with my other coworkers because we both know him. We both said we were going to pray for him. And he used to be a guy who would constantly beat you down. He was always, and he was pretty harsh about things. Now, I can be kind of harsh too, so it never bothered me. But some of the guys are like, dude, is he always like this? And I'm like, yeah, he always is. But he has mellowed in the past couple of years. And he's really kind of changed his attack and how he does. He's changed how he speaks. He's changed the things he says. If you give words like that all the time that are negative and down, and Brenda will tell you, I've been guilty of this a lot. Back when I used to run stores and manage employees, I was harsh. I was hard. I fired a lot of people. I was mean to a lot of people. I mean, I just was. It was just how I handled things. But I had to learn to curb that because I realized that actually, really, it sucks the life out of people. It's negative. There's nothing positive about it. There's no growth in it. There's no good in it. We have to be careful with our words, that they are good. I mean, how many of you got a teacher at school that you really don't like? Oh. I mean, since you said it first, Kate, why do you not like her? Him or her, you don't got to say. Why do you not like them?
She doesn't enter grades until they're due.
Okay.
So, like, if you have missing work, you can't tell if it's missing until the day it's due.
Okay. Okay. Somebody else. Makes you feel bad for asking questions, the way she speaks, the way she does things. Somebody else. Talks about her life problems with her students. Okay. Another thing she's talking. Yes, ma'am.
She makes me clean the house and babysit my siblings.
Somebody else.
She yells at the class multiple times.
Yells at the class. Anybody else? Every single day yells at the class. Carly. Talks bad about to others. She's gossiping about her students to other students. Okay. So you've seen multiple examples there, and nearly all those examples are where people are speaking things that makes people not like them. It's how important our words are. They use words that never build up. They use words that tear down. Solomon used a lot of comparisons to describe the words and what words can do. Proverbs 12:18. Proverbs is a good one, y'all. Proverbs 12:18. The words of the reckless pierce like swords, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. And the words of the reckless will kind of pop your balloon. They'll pierce, right? They tear out everything. They kind of ruin the thing, don't they? If words are harsh. But if words are wise, they can fix things or heal them, right? How many of you ever been pierced by words? How many of you have been? I see hands here. But how many of you? Most of you? Most of you? I mean, I think, honestly, probably everybody has, if we're honest, at some time. Somebody that we thought maybe liked us or was kind of be kind to us or was a friend, they say something that hurt our feelings or hurt us. That's piercing with words, right? How many of you have ever had healing words said to you? Good things said that made you feel better. Okay? So again, that's something that unfortunately we get a lot more today, seems like, of the negative than the positive, don't we? He said this in Proverbs 15:4 also. The soothing tongue is a tree of life, but a perverse tongue crushes the spirit. What we're just talking about, right? Where someone with constantly negative words, negative sayings, crushes the spirit. I said, let's say out of the blue, kind of ruins things, right? I mean, if I were to walk up to, let's just say, Abby, did you change your stylist? Oh, I'm sorry. I almost stepped on it. I didn't know.
No, you did.
I did? Okay, I did. Okay. Did you change your hairstylist, Abby? What happened to your hair? You know, I mean, even sometimes saying little things that maybe we don't mean it to be totally bad, but just the way we say it, things we say. Or say, Joel, didn't you used to go to the gym work out? What happened, man? I mean, I've known people who are even more direct and say things like, you know, I really just don't like hanging out with you anymore, so let's just don't. I've known people be that direct. I have. Hurtful, life-changing words, right? Things that you're like, wow. But it hurts somebody. It does. There's life-building words. I mean, some of you, I hope, are blessed with friends, family, teachers, maybe even co-workers at jobs that say things that, you know, make you feel good. Tell you maybe how intelligent you are, you're doing a great job, you know, things like that, right? Is that something that you see in your lives? Is that something that you recognize and realize that? How many of you know that you have somebody, you recognize you have somebody who is kind of that person for you? How many would say that? Okay, good. Anybody else? Nodding? Good. Okay. Maybe they always talk about you having a positive outlook. Maybe they'd say, Mia, you're always so bubbly and happy. You're always so good. I mean, is she not in the mornings, Abby? When's she not?
What, guys? Please show it to me.
When they do that, though, when someone gives you that positive speaking, doesn't it make you feel more positive about life? Doesn't it make you feel better about things? Maybe it makes you. How many of you would say that when someone does that, it actually helps you to want to say maybe nicer things and be nice to somebody else? How many of you ever noticed just by smiling, walking down the street, walking through an amusement park like Six Flags, walking anywhere, just by smiling, someone else all of a sudden will smile too because you smile at them? You ever notice that? I purposely try to do that and just watch people's reactions. Well, you want to say something, Joey, or just noticing? Okay. It's something. It's kind of become a thing with me when I'm out, because I'm out all the time in public, seeing customers, seeing businesses and things, and I purposely will always try to walk in and smile at people. And it's funny. You'll see people with their kind of a somber expression, and when you smile, all of a sudden they'll kind of turn and smile too. It's kind of my pet project I do when I'm out working now. I just kind of look to see who all will smile when I smile at them. Yes, ma'am.
Every time I'm about to go or something, I always say bye.
Bye. Have a good day. Okay, that's good. Absolutely. Anything positive. Have a good day. That's positive. Let's do a word audit. I want all of you to do this. Leaders, you can do it too. I want you to take a minute. I want to evaluate words that you speak to others. Think about things you say. Maybe just things you said today. I want you to do that. And Isaac, put up my next little screen there with my numbers on it. By measuring on this scale, the words that you say, are they more life-taking, as in negative, and things you say and pick and do? Or are they more life-giving? Like, you do good. You always got a smile. You do good. You look pretty, whatever, right? Well, just judging by what you said today and what you did today, friends, let's just say today. I want all of you to think about it, and all of you think about your score a minute. I'm going to give you a few seconds. I want you to think about things you said today, interactions you had, and how would you rate your words today? I'm going to ask you, but I want you to think about it. Think about it now, life-taking words like, I can't believe you wore that to church. I know, right, Joey? I can't believe you acted like that in the group. I can't believe you acted that way. I mean, Nathan, do you ever clean your room?
No.
I mean, you bombed that test. Did you even study? Do you ever study? Life-taking words, life-taking things. Or life-giving things like, I'm proud of you. That was really cool what you did. That was good. Isn't it how you helped them out? Things like that. Your hair looks good. Congrats on the grade, right? So what is it? Somebody tell me. Who scored over a 5? Who scores over a 5? Who rates themselves over a 5? Well, be honest. You got to be honest, Joey. This is church. Over a 5? Okay. So by the same token, show me hands. Who scored under a 5? Quite a few have scored under 5. Okay. All right. Most of us are our own worst critics, aren't we? I mean, we say things like, I'll never pass this test. I'll never make the team. This day's going to stink. I know this day's going to be awful. I got to go to work, right? Things never work out for me. I never get the breaks they do. You're a 5, right in the middle? Or you're under 5? Well, that's negative, Carly. Or do you think often, this is going to be a great day. I got this. I'm ready for the test. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Nobody got a 10, did they? Anybody get a 10?
What if the only thing you say in a day is, I'd like to
Well, I guess that's positive. I don't know if it's not a 10, but it's positive. If you didn't get a 10, that means there's room for improvement, right? Simple as that. That's all it means. There's room for improvement. If you didn't get a 10, there's room to do better, room to do more. There's power in our words, gang. Power in the words. Let me give you two things and we'll get to wrap this up. Two things concerning your words. And your mama was right, by the way. Because number one, if you can't say something helpful, skip it. Don't say it. If you can't say something nice, don't say it. That's number one. That's a good rule to follow, right? Apostle Paul said this in Ephesians 4:29. I lost Joey. Isaac, you know what I meant. Sorry, dude. I'm sorry. I sincerely apologize. Do not let any unwholesome talk, like calling Isaac Joey, come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. Don't let unwholesome things come out of your mouth. What would happen if we all applied this verse every day? If we only said things positive and didn't say nothing negative? What would happen in life? What would happen to the world? I think it might be a better place. Number two, if you say something good, if you think something good rather, say it. Don't just think it. Proverbs 16:24. Gracious words are honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. Sweet. Gracious words are sweet. Solomon didn't say gracious thoughts, he said gracious words. I can have a thought, but it don't benefit anybody, does it? If I think something, y'all don't know. No matter, right? Words can be encouraging, can be uplifting to the person hearing it. Many successful people have looked back. How many speeches you've seen where I want to thank my mom, I want to thank my boss, I want to thank my friends, I want to thank for all that they were always there, supported me, they were nice to me, all those things, right? Because people said things that were positive, people led them along, helped them along. I heard a story from a pastor a few years ago. This is kind of cool. He said in the early days of his church, remember that you may have someone God puts in front of you with the same kind of story as this guy. There's a guy named Scott. And the pastor asked him one day, how's it going, Scott? He said, it's terrible. Life sucks. Pastor said, come by Monday. Let's talk about this. That's not good. Come by and let's talk. So Scott comes in. Tells Pastor how bad life is, how life's terrible. Everything's going wrong. Well, come to find out, after they talked for a while, Scott decided to take his own life. He decided it ain't worth living. He's going to take his own life. He's done. So the pastor was like, okay, well, we got to talk some more. So pastor pulls a yellow notebook out of his desk, tears off a piece of paper and starts writing down numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Writes all the way to 100. Scott's like, oh, what are you doing? He said, I want you to start, number 1, tell me something good about you. And Scott said, ain't nothing good about me. I'm done. There's nothing good. Life sucks. I said, no, there's something good. Tell me something good. There's nothing good about me, man. I'm done. I told you, there's nothing. I mean, look at me. Look at my life. He said, no, you're going to tell me something good. So he goes on. Finally, he says, I write good, okay? I write good. And pastor said, okay, 1, I write good. Okay, that's true. He said, actually, that's true. He said, Scott wrote very well. He would write notes and things and was really did a good job writing. So that's true. Tell me another one. And Scott said, nothing. He said, come on, man. He said, I told you 1, that's all there is. No, there's no more. Come on, tell me another one. He said, all right, I'm funny. Pastor said, well, oh, yeah, okay. You've got kind of a dry sense of humor. Okay, I'll give you that one. You're funny. Okay. He said, tell me another one. He said, tell me another one. I look like Robert Redford. Pastor said, well, you're funny, but you don't look like Robert Redford, okay? Tell me another one. And he said, finally, about 12 or 13 numbers into it, after hounding him for over an hour, about 12 or 13 numbers, about 12 or 13, Scott broke. And he started crying. And started talking. And they went through the rest of the list and listed 100 things. He started talking and said, you know, I write thank you notes for everybody for everything. And I do all the fundraisers to help out the kids in church and to help out the women's groups. And I do this. I just went on and on about things he did, crying the whole time, sobbing and crying. And got through all 100 of them. Well, a short time later, Scott moved away. Pastor kind of lost track of him. Several years went by. Now, one day, Scott comes walking back into his church. Got a wife and a little boy with him. Pastor's like, wow, that's cool. Pastor goes up to him, Scott, man, how you doing? He said, I'm great. Things are great, Pastor. Never been better. And he said, man, that is awesome. I'm so glad to see that. And he reaches in his wallet and pulls out his wallet and pulls out this folded piece of yellow paper that had those 100 things on it. And he said, here, Pastor, I don't need this anymore. It's in my heart now. We're all good. Those words of, I'm good. There's some good in me. There's some good things I've done. There's some good things I do. Changed his life. And he was at the precipice. He was at the point. He was going to quit. He was done. But those words, someone encouraging him, and those words made a difference. Our words make a difference, y'all. Encouraging others makes a difference. Once you figure that out and figure out who you are, it'll make a difference in your life. We need to figure out who we are and start saying it to ourselves. Our words matter to ourselves sometimes, right? But it'll make ourselves realize who we are. Speaking to ourselves sometimes. I'm good. I'm a follower of Jesus. I believe in God. I believe his laws and I believe his rules. Good things. When you can do that, your relationship with Jesus will mature. And you'll figure out that balance in life. Next week we'll talk about habits. Because when you start doing these things, habits start to develop. We already all have habits. We've talked about habits before. A little different perspective this time on it. But the idea will be developing habits that draw us closer to Jesus. So, if y'all want to take a few minutes,